back on Sooch ki ttalk train of thought with a series of an episodes with Professor Vijay Kant Verma, Chancellor of Dr.CV Raman University, Patna, Bihar, and also is heading the core research and the innovation group of an ISEC group of an universities which are 5. I think it's an excellent insights and the story and the learning what we are trying from having a conversation with Professor Vijay Kant Verma. So it was an excellent episode what we have in terms of the concept of an 4L letter which you have said and about a price concept. Though you have learned from your mother how she manages the entire house like, and that price concept in our last episode which you have narrated, it's explained in a very simplified way for a target audience. Now, how you have applied that price concept while being part of a corporate job, while being in Village Steel Plant? Can you please throw some light with the target audience, please?
I have handled many projects. Actually, I am a man with the thinking that each task should be taken as a project by itself, and that way you will be able to achieve better if you take every task as a project. Project means a start and end is the speciality of any project.
Correct.
So if I tell you, in project you learn a lot, not only about your profession, but many things. Like I will tell you, I had experience of working with people in defense, in forces, in private sector industry, in public undertaking also industry, and abroad also with people in industry and people in defense. So you learn a lot when you take all these projects. If I look back, if I take this project, for example, when I was deputed for Mirage project, one experience there in the project, the person who was with me, he had never come out of Europe, and first time he came to India with me. So he had lot of queries. So I found an Indian can adopt much easier in a much easier way and very quickly with any environment. And he had lot of difficulty in very interesting thing was that when he came back to India with me, we had lunch. For his lunch, a 5-star hotel was organized by the government. We used to have lunch together, 3-4 officers in that directorate. So we used to have lunch together. Some were bachelors, so it was coming from mess, and for us it was coming from our home. So he insisted on me that I will join you for lunch. So I said, okay, you join. So in Europe, lunch is a ritual. They give full 45 minutes to 1 hour for lunch.
I see.
And they spend that. So when he was to take lunch, then at 1:30 our lunchtime we unpacked our. So he was quite surprised. He had not seen such a thing.
Correct.
He said, "This is your lunch." So that time he didn't say, but in privately he told me, "This is your lunch." So I said, "Yes, this is my lunch." So he said, "I will not work even for 2 hours for this lunch. There is no cheese, there is no wine, there is no creamy pudding. and whereas salad is just some few pieces. So he had a practical view, and that is the European understanding. So I told him that for us lunch is not only food. It has a lot of values, a lot of sentiments are there, and he was of that opinion. So to some extent I agreed that our food habits are not all that good as they have. So my wife also agreed that we should make correction to our lunch, and you should have some place for heating it up in this thing. So whereas in India, when we were setting up base for Mirage in Gwalior, it is a place which has a lot of dacoits in that area, and they had their hutments in that area, so they were to be evacuated, and it was a base for very slow aircraft, so all the kettles used to come into the base, and there were problems like that. But with Mirage we could not afford that. And anytime there's such big boundary in that project. I was telling about how human relations come in. So they had applied a lot of discipline forces, it didn't work. So what we did, we gave employment to those people only as a guard, and the problem ended. So these learning of price comes handy in a situation where the classical theory is not working. So we have a lot of classical theory, a lot of classical tools, but in projects I think you have to go beyond those tools, beyond those theoretical learning, and apply your mind with your cultural background and cultural upbringing. Really helps in overcoming many things. So like that I had so many experience where so much of experience where I have gone out of the classical system and adopted to some learning from this price concept to overcome those challenges and problems. Like in one of the institute, the teachers were not coming on time. So you can't enforce that their pay should be deducted or things like that. So I told them that no pay will be deducted, nothing will be done. It was a base repair depot. Sorry, it was not an institute, it was a base repair depot. So I told them that only thing is, if you are coming late, you have to sign in a red pen. So there was a pen put in by side of the register, and blue pen was to be removed at 9 o'clock, and you come and sign. So it gave them that shame when they saw their
in red signature.
Red, every date is with so many red, and they used to be ridiculed by colleague also that all the columns are red. So after some time I have found great improvement. Even after 5 minutes, the register was in my office. So if somebody is coming late, she or he will say, "Sir, let me sign with blue." So this is the kind of application of real life problem it really helps.
Because handling the human being, I think, is a real complex issues and problems which are there. Like,
Yeah, that is there.
so the simulators which you have designed while being part of an Indian Air Force, like you were there at Thomson, CSF, and AMD France also. Can you elaborate something on that?
I was there for a very long time, and I was quite impressed by their work culture. What I learned from their work was they were very meticulous about their time. They were very meticulous about their job, and they were quite dedicated to their work. Which I told my people also that you see the kind of dedication they have. One day we had an accident with one of our Indian colleagues, and we were to take him to the hospital. So, like in India, if something happens like this, the things come to a standstill, and people rush the victim to the hospital.
Okay.
So we started same thing. So the relation manager came. He said, "Why? What happened?" So he said that you start your work. Other people should start, and let's take him to the hospital. So I told that these my colleague, 2-3 people will go along with him. So he said, "Why they will go? He has to be taken in ambulance. There will be a nurse, so nobody will go." So this was a cultural shock to my colleague. Evening, when we wanted to go, actually after lunch, my subordinate said, "Sir, I want to go and see him up." So I told him, "Okay, you go." But he was stopped at the gate. They said, "No, he will have to take leave and go." And why he wants to go, the relation manager said. I said, "He is going to see." He said, "Why you want to see him? In the evening you go and see him." And evening also, when we went, that person was carrying his IV bottle and going to toilet, which you can't see anywhere else. Somebody will be helping. So this is the kind of dedication they had to the work. But it had another bad thing which I seen there, which we are much better. That they are very, very particular about rules and regulation, and they will not be flexible to anything. They will not adjust to any changes. If the weekend starts at, like in Thomson CSF, weekend used to start at about 3 o'clock on the Friday. Saturday, Sunday was holiday. So 3 o'clock to down. So nobody, you will not see anybody working after 3 o'clock. But up to 3 o'clock, you will not see anybody enjoying or relaxing. So this was the kind of culture. When VIP was to come on a Saturday, the floor manager, I told him that some VIP is coming, so somebody should be there too. He said, "No, Saturday we are closed." So we checked up with the embassy and we tried to tell them. Then they said, "Okay, we will make some arrangement." But that manager didn't budge. What he did, from the marketing people, he trained them for 3 days to show it to the VIP. But nobody, no production man was there on that day. So this kind of rigidity is there, which is not with us. We are quite flexible. They believe in a specialization, that a module, they go by modular system.
Correct.
So a person is trained on a module, he will not know what is happening to the next module. So he will be responsible
Totally
only
focus
for
on
that.
that particular module.
Whereas in India, we have a ownership of the whole thing.
Correct. Each and every aspects of the area.
So
which I get.
even if I am not trained on amplifier,
Uh-huh.
and if I am working on, if I am trained on power system, so I will be knowing a little bit about amplifier and I will cooperate with him. I will not go away when the amplifier man is working.
Correct.
So this is there are plus and minus things from each system, and plus and minus things in your own system also.
Correct.
I found that that's why I had started a practice of meeting of all section commanders to discuss this.
Okay.
You see, normally you discuss the production schedule, you discuss the time target, but to discuss each other's problem and try to find a solution is only in some cases at the floor level, which I started that we used to have in the morning about 10 minutes meeting to
Discuss
know what was the problem on last day,
Correct.
and at end of the day we used to have a meeting.
I
So
see.
that showed a lot of improvement in this system, and like shifting a squadron from one place to other is a project by itself. So you can't go by modular system.
Correct.
You don't have those facilities here. Like in France, I had seen the transport was somebody's baby. So that department will all do everything, packing and all those.
Correct.
There was no involvement and ownership of all other people.
Of other people as well.
But when we move a squadron, when we move a unit, the whole squadron or whole unit is involved in that, and that's how we activate that. So in all these projects, I have found this price thing came handy, and a relationship in a project, human relation in a project or in working area, Indian environment, working environment has a big advantage.
So now, in fact, being part of an corporate journey, like what made you shift to an education like?
See, as I told you, education, the teacher, the glamour of a teacher has fascinated me from very beginning. And one thing was, one quotation or one part of the letter etched onto my heart was part of the letter which was written by Lord Wovell to the King. Lord Wovell was our last Viceroy in India, till 47 he was there. He wrote to the King, if I remember his exact words, he had said that, sir, the education education is the thing which we have done worst to the India, as I believe, because we have provided education for the mind and not character, and with the result that average educated Indian is a man with little character and no discipline. And until unless these people learn both, they cannot be a good nation.
Goodness.
So this was etched to my heart.
Nice.
And of course, we have survived as a nation for 70 years. And the very good reason for that is that our family is a big institution. So the a lot of deficiency of character and discipline
Yes,
comes
sir.
from the family.
from family.
But all said and done, I found some sense in what Lord Orwell had
Yes,
written to the king. And that's how you find so much of turmoil in youth, so much of indiscipline. I had this in my mind that education
I see.
needs correction.
Okay, good. I think shift from an corporate sector to an education and where I'm sure there's some gap which has been identified by Professor Vijay Kant Verma of getting into an education. Professor Vijay Kant Verma is the Chancellor of Dr.CV Raman University, Patna, Bihar, and I'm sure it's going to be a great insight about his education journey from where he started and where he is at the top of a pyramid now. I'm sure these are going to be a real good value insights for a ttalk audience. And just go to www.ttalk.net, subscribe and like the channel as much as you can. Follow up with Professor Vijay Kant Verma for next episode on ttalk. So thanks a lot for being part of the show. Thank you very much. Thank you.